fucks left. No, no. I have no fucks, right? Oh, oh. I have no fucks left. No, no. So fuck off. I'm busy. Bye bye. Piss off. Not sorry. Don't cry. The fucking machine is out of order. So fuck yourself and save a quarter.
Where do witches bake their cakes? In the coven. You're listening to an all-new No Fucks Left.
Piss off. Not sorry. Don't cry. Don't cry.
Welcome. Hello, greetings, salutations. How's everyone doing out there? So glad you came by. Welcome to my podcast, No Fucks Left with Landyn Shaw. That's me. And I'm so happy that you're here. Today, we are going to be celebrating everything that is wicked. The phenomenon, the artistry, the magic, the spectacle that is wicked. And we're going to do that in a couple of different ways. I have a few special guests in this episode that I'm very, very excited about. So if you saw my social media post prior to this, the promotion post, you know that, and this is about all I want to say right now, is that both my guests have been in Wicked. One has played Glinda, the other has played Elphaba. They have not played it together. And one of the guests you'll find out very shortly, and then the other surprise guest I'll tease up in another opener after our first segment here. And in the first segment, it's basically what we're calling a Wicked wrap-up. So AJ and I have not talked about the movie at all, which for us is normally, that's a huge thing because normally we would go right to just talking about everything. And so knowing that we were going to do this episode, we just told each other like, hey, don't say anything about it. Just keep it to yourselves. And then we have our special guest also joining us to kind of participate in that. So that's going to be the first part of this episode. And then you're going to hear this amazing interview with my other surprise guest, which will be kind of the second part of the episode. But what I wanted to do is open first telling you my little kind of fun Wicked story that I've been kind of thinking about and playing over in my head. And that is that, again, as I said, I'm obsessed with Stephen Schwartz, absolutely obsessed. I've always admired him and his artistry and his music from a very young age. I was in, I think, like 7th or 8th grade, and I played Theo in Pippin. And that's kind of where I first was truly introduced to Stephen Schwartz. And then naturally after that experience, my dream role for myself became Pippin. And I was very fortunate enough to play that role in Ohio at the Weathervane Playhouse under the amazing direction of one Mr. Bill Kincaid. And I had a great time. It was the first role actually where I felt like, oh my God, I'm not really acting and I feel like I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And I really went through kind of a crisis on that show because it wasn't foreign to me. Let's put it that way. As I've said before, and I'm sure you can deduce that anytime I had to play a male role, I totally felt like I was acting. And then the pursuit was to make it as believable as possible, knowing that I was lying to myself and therein lying to the audience without them even knowing it. But that's a whole nother thing. But so yeah, Pippin was interesting because I didn't really feel like I was acting and I didn't know why. And I really, really trusted in my director more than probably ever. And Bill was so great. He was just like, well, that's okay. Like every once in a while you might play a role that you have more in common with than you thought, or it just might be easier to kind of grab onto. And that's exactly what the case was with Pippin. I loved everything about it. Corner of the Sky, Morning Glow, just dancing, the songs. And then fast forward, I play Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior, in Godspell in another production, totally separate, many years after. That was in Iowa. And with both of those situations, though, I had kind of little run-ins, if you will, with Stephen Schwartz. With Pippin, so I just read this great book about Bob Fosse, and in it, the author mentioned that the original Pippin had asked Stephen Schwartz for a signed copy of Corner of the Sky, which Stephen happily did for him, and it was hanging on his dressing mirror. And Bob Fosse, who did not like Stephen Schwartz very much, came in and like ripped it down, and it really crushed him. And so I read that and I thought, oh my God, I would love to have a signed copy of Corner of the Sky. And so I jump online. I wrote Stephen Schwartz via his website, and about, God, I think like a week later, I get a signed autograph copy of a headshot of his, along with a very, very sweet letter and a signed copy of Corner of the Sky. And I just thought, oh my God, if nothing else happens to me, this is the greatest thing ever. Fast forward, I'm now playing Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior, in Godspell. And on this particular Saturday matinee, I fractured two of my vertebrae. I didn't know that at the time, but during the show, while performing, fractured two vertebrae. It was not good. It was a bad scene, and I don't even need to really go into all of that. Only to say, though, that evening we obviously canceled the show, and I didn't know this at the time, but Stephen Schwartz's, I think, like assistant or someone that basically worked for him was coming to the show that night. And so she had heard what happened. I think she asked the producers, obviously. And next thing I know, I have an email from Stephen Schwartz, like I think a day or 2 days later, wishing me well, telling me he was thinking of me, and yada, yada, yada. And I was, again, just like, oh my God, like this Stephen Schwartz guy is amazing. He keeps coming into my life at all these great times. And then literally a year later, I'm now working with Brian Lane Green on a production of Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat in Chicago. And Brian and I are just hanging out before the show, as we always did, just talking. And one day he just randomly says to me, like, you know what? You really remind me of Stephen Schwartz. I'm great friends with him. I hang with him, and you guys just have the same kind of sensibilities, and just, I enjoy talking and working with both of you. And I was like, get out. Like, you have no idea. Stephen Schwartz is like my idol. I'm so into him, and I've had all these, kind of passings and what have you. And Brian's like, oh, well, you should totally work for him, and I'll try to arrange that and all this. And I'm like, fuck you. If you make this happen, I'm set. Like, that's all I would ever want. And so he ends up saying in passing that he had talked to Stephen, and that the next time I'm in New York, I should definitely look Stephen up, and yada, yada, yada. So now, again, fast forward however many years, I don't know. I'm in New York, and I'm like, fuck, I should go for it. Let's just do it. So I email Stephen Schwartz and I say, hey, I'm going to happen to be in New York. I don't know what you're doing, but if you're free, I would love to just hang out with you, just talk to you, just meet you, whatever the case may be. We've had this kind of pen pal relationship, and I'd love to just, meet you in person. And shockingly, he says, okay, let's do lunch. And I fucking just lost my mind. Tells me where to meet him, all this good stuff. Sit down, have the most amazing lunch ever. It was one of those situations where it could not have gone any better. Like, I was so glad that I met my hero. And that entire lunch concludes with him saying something to the effect of, well, you're either really smart or you're just really naive or kind of green. And I was like, oh, what do you mean? And he said, well, normally, like, an actor like yourself is only really going to want to sit down with me or meet me because they want to talk about casting, or they maybe want me to try to get them an audition. And I was like, oh, that's not me. That I just don't do that. That's not in my nature. It never has been. And he goes, well, I'm going to do you a solid. Get together, some clips, audio clips, this is definitely before iPhones and all that. I think Wicked had just kind of maybe been open maybe just 2-3 years. So like early 2000s. And so I said, just get you a tape or cassette or whatever. And he's like, yeah. Just get it to me, and I'll call, the casting directors and stuff. And I was like, okay, well, thank you so much. I never did that. I never, ever, ever did it. And I didn't do it for many, many reasons. And that's not what this opener is about. It's not, so that everyone can pat me on the back and go, good for you. You didn't take advantage of that. Because in looking back, it was really stupid. Because if the writer of Wicked offers you an opportunity to get a demo reel to them or some kind of voice sample, you do it. But I didn't. And I to this day don't know fully why, other than most likely what I think could have been the case is that knowing that I was most likely, the right type for like a Fiero type thing at the that type of role at the time. I think for me, because I had just moved to St. Louis actually right before meeting him, so I was right in the midst of my second attempt rather of my transformation, and so the idea of kind of writing to my hero and sending him audio samples of me playing a male role, I think at the time just didn't sit right with me. And then by the time maybe I would have gotten to a point where it would have been okay with me, I didn't do it. So now, Stephen, if you're listening, or if anyone that is connected to Stephen is listening, I would love to send you that file for consideration to be Madame Morrible, because that's a role I truly would love to play, honestly. I saw one of my other idols, Alexandra Billings, play the role. I didn't see her live. I wish I did, but I know she has done the role. And that was so huge for me to be able to see that. It was mind blowing. It was life changing to be able to see that. So I have now obsessed about Madame Morrible and would love to play that role. So if anyone's listening, but that's my little kind of story with Wicked and specifically with Stephen Schwartz. Because of course, if anyone's going to have a story with a star from Wicked or, from the Wicked universe, it's going to be me having that connection with the writer. I mean, I never seemingly have any of these connections with original actors per se, although that could change. But, yeah, I tended to always seek out the directors and the writers and even the producers in our industry, because I just have always been fascinated with that. So that's my little story there. I did see Wicked on Broadway with the original cast. And that changed my life too. And I obsessed over the musical just like everyone else. And up until meeting my wife, never met anyone that really, I thought, loved Wicked even more than me. But she wins. She loves it. And so it's been really cool to kind of relive this entire experience. And, 20 plus years after the musicals opened, to now see the world embracing it in the form of this movie has been really, really cool. So we're not going to do a word of the day today because it is a Wicked theme, and we've already done a Wicked word of the day. So no word of the day today. Again, none of our other fun segments that we've, kind of been doing and that you've come to know and love. I promise you they will be back. They will be back next week. But we just wanted to kind of do an entire episode dedicated to the power, the phenomenon, the artistry, and the magic of Wicked. And that's what we've done. So I hope you enjoy it. Sit back, relax, and let us know, after the episode, after you listen, let us know how you felt about the movie and what things you liked. We'd love to have a conversation with our fans and listeners about this amazing movie, because it's been phenomenal to be able to experience all of this and to see, again, just everyone beyond Broadway and beyond just, your regular musical audiences embrace this incredible story. So without any further ado, here's our Wicked wrap up.
Wicked awesome. Wicked, wicked, wicked. Get a ticket to see this Wicked. Wicked good. Wicked bad. Wicked awesome.
All right, everyone, welcome. This is very exciting. So let me just really quickly preface this by saying that AJ and I have not spoken at all, which has been very difficult, about the Wicked movie. And as promised, we do have a special guest. We actually have two special guests. The first one, though, is very special to me. Folks, I'm thrilled to announce that the professor is here with us to break this down.
Woo! Thank you.
Everyone, that's the professor. That's my wife. So she's going to join the party, and we're going to talk about Wicked. And to kind of just make sense of all of this, I've given my cohorts here some questions, and we're going to kind of just break it down. So we're going to start right away with what surprised you the most about the movie, and we'll kind of go round robin here. Let's start with our guest, the professor. What surprised you most about the movie, Professor?
I was surprised that they worked in so much of the exposition that was actually in the book, Wicked, rather than just the stage musical.
Yes.
So that was a nice surprise.
And it was necessary, very necessary, so that they could turn a 2.5-hour musical into a 2.5-hour act one, or even more. AJ, what you got? What were you most surprised about?
Ariana Grande. Honestly,
You fucking stole my answer.
well, that's what you get for putting yourself last.
No.
Ariana Grande. That was who I rolled my eyes. The casting I rolled my eyes at when they, announced all of this, and then she was my favorite part of the movie, probably.
I get it. Yeah.
Yeah, I was not. And I have nothing against her, whatever. But I just was thinking that, I don't know, that she. I have no experience with her, but just that she's a pop star. I thought it was, to sell tickets. I was not expecting her to, just kill it like she did.
I agree.
She was hilarious.
I agree. She crushed it, and she made it her own. Because I was expecting her to be good, but expecting a Chenoweth impersonation, and I really didn't see that. She made it her own.
No, not at all.
So AJ and I have the same answers there. I was blown away by Ariana. I thought she was fantastic. She's moved way up in my book. She knocked it out of the park. Unbelievable. Favorite overall scene, not song. Favorite overall scene. We'll start again with the professor.
Okay, so two came to mind.
Yes.
The first was when Elphaba and Fiyero are in the forest when they are releasing the lion.
Yes.
Okay, that was pretty hot. But what really rose to the top was the finale as they are running through the castle and the flying monkeys are hitting the windows, and it's just so intense. And then they finally they put the balloon up and that fails. Like that whole just chase scene, fabulous.
Yeah.
Fucking loved it.
I agree wholeheartedly. AJ, what you got? Favorite overall scene?
Yeah, that was really cool. I think probably goddamn. So Dancing Through Life, Bach. So I really don't like Ethan Slater much. But
You mean Ariana Grande's boyfriend?
Yeah, apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so but the moment with him and Nessa Rose where he's lying to her saying,
Yeah.
oh no.
Yeah.
But his like let's dance and then like pushing her into dance and then just that moment of dancing through life that that which I felt like got kind of a lot of extensions maybe in the orchestrations but it led to a nice little payoff or whatever. So I liked that moment.
Excellent.
And that scene.
I'm going to somewhat agree with the professor here. I loved the flying monkey scene. I thought that was really intense. And I was so happy to see that they weren't afraid to go there, that they were, able to raise the stakes and have it kind of be, probably not as kid friendly as maybe they would have wanted it, but that's what it needed, that tension. So I agree wholeheartedly. But I would have to say my all-time favorite scene just in the reveal. And again, I saw this, the professor and I have seen it twice now. So was the scene where just right at the beginning, you see the wicked hat, the witch's hat, and then it pans and you see the fields with the flowers, the 9 million, tulips that have been planted.
Yeah.
But I must admit, like that shot right there, just that shot and scene of kind of setting it up and getting us into Munchkinland is just it was so perfectly executed. The
really
cinematography, cool. The scene, the scenery, the production, coordination and design. I just thought everything was so perfect, and it really did grab you and get you in. And I think even the opening where you just hear, you know, Glinda and we kind of see the embers and just the way it was set up, that scene right there, just, it definitely grabbed me. I was not expecting that. So now we'll talk about favorite song or dance. Favorite song or dance. And we'll again start with the professor.
Favorite song or dance? One Short Day. I cannot get it out of my head.
I agree.
So I love it. Yeah,
I
it's
agree.
fun. I should like Defying Gravity best. Like that's what, you know, you would think.
Yeah.
It was a little slow for me in the movie, so I had to go with One Short Day because it's the one that I sing it probably in my head all day long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Anyway.
agree. I
Yeah.
agree. AJ, what you
Yeah,
got?
Dancing Through Life. The whoever Fierro just was Fierro was awesome. It's the Jonathan Bailey, whatever.
Bailey, yeah.
Bailey, yeah.
Agree. He was
No
good.
experience with him, and yeah,
That's
it was
because you
just
haven't
fun.
watched Bridgerton.
That's correct. I have
Yeah,
not.
I haven't either. So.
Yeah. And so no, he just I had a shitload of charisma or whatnot that just
Yeah.
came through and also just the ways that they were able to what they were able to do with on a movie screen, like choreography wise.
Yeah.
Like kind of going around in circles and whatnot on the like in the library or
That was pretty cool.
the dials
Agreed.
and whatnot.
Agreed.
Shit like that was really cool.
Yes, I agree with you on that part. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to cheat a little bit. So I'm going to tell you my favorite song, Dance, which I agree with the professor. And then I'm going to lead into the next one, which is the least favorite moment or scene, because I want to address what you just said. So I loved One Short Day. What was kind of interesting about that for me too is that's the one song that if I'm listening to the musical, I might skip, you know what I mean? Because it just really didn't do anything. But then suddenly seeing it all, seeing, you know, all the different cameos and just, I thought the dancing in that particular scene was a lot better. I'm going to then go into, and we're all going to take this, but I'm going to start this time, least favorite moment or scene. I have to say, Dancing Through Life into the Stardust Ballroom was my least favorite. I thought the Stardust Ballroom was atrocious, did not look appealing at all. I didn't know, it was almost like they were in Antarctica or something. It just did not look good. There was not great production values. And then overall, I found the choreography to be very lacking in that entire dance sequence. Like I thought the little steps they did in the library were very cool, visually amazing, but just in terms of complex choreography, and I would say overall the choreography was kind of a little very Bill T. Jones, very kind of Spring Awakening-ish, you know, that kind of percussive sporadic movements, but I just thought Dancing Through Life really somehow bombed when it came to the choreography, which I don't get.
Interesting. Yeah, no, I mean, I see what you mean. They could do, you know, while they could still do all the things that I was talking about, like going upside down on the dials and whatnot. They, you know, could have done more besides, you know, that being the kind of elevations or the.
So what was your least favorite scene or song, AJ?
I just never have liked the Wizards moments.
Oh.
As a sentimental man. And so, unfortunately, Jeff didn't change that for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I mean I liked him in the role and whatnot, but he didn't. It was just, you know, Jeff Goldblum.
Right. Yeah.
Going back to your thing real quick about the Ozdusk Ballroom.
Yeah.
It was really lame. It reminded me of Mr. Freeze's lair and Batman and Robin. And so, like, I was waiting for people with steampunk, like, to jump out and like goons.
Yeah. I also thought the acting in that scene, there's one scene in particular, when Elphaba's dancing, she's doing her little dance, and the typical, like, I could just hear the director saying, okay, so in this scene, when she moves towards you, you know, kind of react and back up like she's crazy. Yeah. It just looks so forced. Everything was so forced.
It was too slow. The scene was just way too slow. So that was really the problem there. And then the people have nothing to react to.
Nothing. It was like watermelon, you know, yeah.
I always hated that moment in the show too.
Yeah.
Yeah, just her coming in, doing her little dance, and then I don't know.
They try to Yeah, they try to create too much drama in a scene that it's not set up to do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
What,
yeah.
what was your least favorite scene or song?
I
my love?
agree with AJ. It's the whole wizard thing. And really, they should have gone back to the source material because the wizard in the book is far more interesting
Yeah.
and kind of awful.
Yeah.
And so this guy, I mean, he was too cutesy and he's prancing around his little model and it was a no.
Yeah.
The model was lame.
It was a no.
I mean, it was like this. Okay, this is how this is your joke, or whatever.
Right.
For the
Yeah.
yellow brick, it is just very arbitrarily the yellow brick road.
Yeah. I thought they tried to take a moment that obviously wasn't there, and if this is what they were intending, it worked on a certain level, which is like really kind of giving the audience, and spoiler alert, that the wizard is Elphaba's dad. You know, like that I think is what they were really trying to go for, and they tried to do it in a really kind of compassionate, paternal way, but it just didn't work because then 5 minutes later he was the arch enemy.
Yeah,
Right. They do make that,
it was
they make that a lot
very
more
quick.
complete. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think they fell short on that, which again, surprising because I think Jeff Goldblum is a hell of an actor, great personality. So I was excited actually. And yeah, it didn't work. It just didn't work. So now let's go to, because I'm excited about this one. I'm sure everyone can guess what mine is. Favorite Easter egg or cameo? And there were many. And we'll start with AJ. You go first.
I think the opening graphic and whatnot, just like the kind of old Universal,
Yeah.
the MGM, whatever it was,
Yeah.
kind of logo.
Yeah.
So just from like the little kind of reel before the Universal reel before the movie
Yeah.
into the kind of the Wicked on the tilted cursive font.
Yeah.
And I think that was it.
There were a lot of homages like that. It was cool. Baby, what do you got?
All right, so mine again. We're kind of down to two. So the one that made me smile was the bike and the lion cub sticks his head out of the basket, very similar to the way Toto.
Yes.
It was very cute.
Yes.
But the one that makes me absolutely giddy every time I see it is the opening graphic. I literally clap every time I see that. It just makes my heart melt.
Yeah.
So definitely
Yeah.
Wicked. It's when it just says Wicked in that font. Ooh,
I know.
That's it.
Yeah. It's hard to pick a favorite, but I have to go with, I love that Steven Schwartz does The Wizard Will See You Now. Like I
didn't know that till afterwards.
Oh.
I was wondering if I was like, I bet that's another cameo. But
I knew he was in it. I obviously knew he was in it because I had read about it and stuff. Didn't know where. And that's absolutely perfect for him to pop up. I'm obsessed with Steven Schwartz, as we know. So I loved it. I wanted to ask you, AJ, I don't know if you caught this, and I think I'm right. I can't find any confirmation, but I'm almost positive. Did you catch Stephanie J. Block in the very opening scene when Glinda's coming down from her bubbles? She's walking down the stairs, meeting the people there. I swear I believe Stephanie J. Block is the very first person right there that she meets.
I'll look for it the next time I go.
I can't find any confirmation.
Didn't catch that.
And I thought it was because, as we all know, she was originally the Elphaba in the out of town tryouts. She was Elphaba before Idina was, and then she got into, I think, Boy from Oz or something like that, and so there had to be a switch. So I thought that was them kind of acknowledging the fact that she technically was the first Elphaba, but I swear I thought that was her. And I can't find any confirmations. That I thought was great. And then you had a couple of other like Easter eggs that we've talked about since then. Not necessarily our favorites, but I just want to see in this particular instance, AJ, if you picked up on all of them. For example, do you pick up on the fact that the kind of headmistress of the residence hall or whatever says gulched?
Get gulched. Yeah.
Did you pick up on that?
Mm-mm.
Yeah. She says something. She's about ready to push Nessa Rose, I think, in the wheelchair. Yeah. And she says something like just off the cuff, kind of gulched, but obviously a reference to Miss Gulch in Wizard of Oz. I love that one.
Okay.
And we caught it the second time we saw
did.
it. We
We
both
did.
went, oh, look at that one. Do you have any others?
Okay, so one that I found, but that I didn't know the first time I saw it, but then the second time I looked for it, was and this because I read it somewhere, I don't know.
Yeah.
But when we see the original four, the Fab Four, you know, skipping toward Emerald City, and Dorothy's got the broom in her hand, the design in the back of the Scarecrow's jacket matches part of the design on Fiero's jacket. Dun dun dun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
And also, AJ, did you notice that Ethan Slater is tilted when we first see him? He's kind of standing on an angle, and that's purposeful
yes.
to show that he becomes the Tin Man.
And he straightens himself up. It's a very mime
Yes.
move. It's just
Oh.
He has the
isolated.
croquet
Yeah.
mallet. Yeah, he has the croquet mallet, and he's standing on an angle, and then he straightens himself up.
It's very good.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yes.
That's fun.
Yeah. There are so many of those. Like we're going a third time, obviously. And we'll go a fourth and a fifth.
Obviously.
Yeah. And so I can't wait to kind of keep picking up on those. Cause I love the fact that John Chu was so deliberate in his homages and tips of the hat to the original, to the book, to, the stage version and the history. I thought that's what he did better than almost anything, was really making sure he gave reverence to every single story that is so well known in this universe.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Did you pick up any Easter eggs that you either thought, oh, maybe that's something, or like, actually, let's talk real quick. Did you like the whole Kristen Idina kind of setup and their roles?
Okay, I have strong thoughts on this.
Yes.
Okay, so it's a double-edged sword because I loved the amount of exposition that they got out, again, from the book. Fan of the book here, clearly.
Yeah.
So all of that was able to come out because of that song, and it was not in the musical. So to me, I was like, oh, yay, we're getting backstory, which is awesome. But then the other side of it is, why are they in this?
Yeah.
And we don't need a new song in Wicked.
Yeah.
Wicked needs a new song like The Wizard of Oz needs a new song. It doesn't need a new song. It's good.
Right.
So I felt like there could have been cuter ways to put them in, but I very much appreciated the exposition, and they were fabulous in what they were given.
Yeah.
So that was fun.
Yeah.
there's
I heard
where
a
it is.
story that basically it was from John Chu too. He said, okay, we have to obviously put them in here. We don't know how. They had another idea. And then Stephen Schwartz was like, wait a minute, I think I got something. And then came back the next day with that kind of new song. And they went, oh, that's perfect. And I agree with you wholeheartedly. Double Edge. I was happy to see them, happy to get that exposition. It was very contrived and very forced, though. Very forced.
Too long, also.
Oh, way too long.
Yeah, it was like it's just one of those rough SNL skits.
Yes, that just kind of keeps going. I mean, I knew they were going to be in there, and it would be weird if they didn't. And I think I read originally John was like, oh, well, one of them could be like Glinda's parents, which were also randomly in that first scene, at Shiz.
Were they?
Yeah, well, not, yeah. I mean, her parents were sending her off, but
Never mind.
again, we never really see them, and I don't know why they were there. That was really weird.
To get Carrie Ellison, I think. Was that her?
Yeah.
That plays the mom,
Yeah. So, I mean, again, I understand the cameos, and I thought it was great to do that, obviously, but that scene was rather forced, I think. All right, then let's move on, and we'll go to moment that you keep replaying over and over. I think we maybe have hit upon that, or we've shared, but let's start with the professor again. Your moment that you just keep playing over and over.
The look of absolute courage on Elphaba's face when she is on that broom giving that last warning to everybody.
Yeah.
That is the look.
Yeah.
Arivo nailed it.
I agree.
It was very good.
I
Very
agree.
good.
I loved it. AJ, what you got?
You talked about earlier, probably that I keep picturing the most is that moment that we see them skipping down
Yes.
the yellow brick road.
Yeah.
That was the very memorable. Yeah, the most memorable probably shot out of it for me. Yeah, and with the flying monkeys and whatnot.
Yeah.
Really cool. Just really set it up well.
Yeah. I have two actually. One kind of superfluous, but I thought it was brilliant. When during Popular, Glinda rides the little chandelier around, with her perfect legs. Her legs were amazing, by the way. Pointed toes, everything. Great form. So she rides the little, light there around. I thought that was really inventive and very cute. And that just keeps playing over and over for me. The other one, though, was exactly kind of where the professor said with Elphaba, but I loved that, and I'm going to admit this readily, I never knew what in the stage version, what it was supposed to look like with her rising and stuff. Like I never knew what that was supposed to be. And then I started watching different clips of different Elphabas and because of the high def and stuff, I started to see, oh, she's like supposed to be like kind of hanging, and it's supposed to look like she's just levitating or suspending in air. So I finally got that, but I obviously didn't get it, and I saw it live and in person. And then the movie, I thought, really cemented it. That idea of her just like in air, standing there, legs down, cape billowing, as the professor said, holding that broom, very defiant, like that look, the fact that they captured that and made it go from the stage to the screen, and I thought did a way better job of setting that up. I thought that was brilliant. And then the final, she's flying through, space, going into the ending. That harkened back to Superman for me. So I get the chills on that one too. So yeah, just anything with flying, I'm in always.
Yeah, that cape, that big cape,
Oh,
that's how the first act ends. You
Yes.
got all the stage under it, flapping it and whatnot.
right.
And also keeping it off the cherry picker.
And I think that's what it is, because of all the dry ice and fog and haze that they use to kind of hide it. I never kind of knew what that moment was supposed to be. I just knew she was levitating. I didn't know what it was supposed to totally look like. And that the movie did it for me, obviously.
Oh,
Very
yeah.
strong.
Yeah, no, that was really, really cool.
Now this one, have you seen it twice yet? Or have you just seen it the one time, AJ?
Just once.
Okay, so this one will kind of just be, because I'm curious, I would love to know, for the professor and I, what was your favorite discovery seeing it the second time? And I think I may have already, well, no, I didn't hit upon it. But, what for you was like, oh, I missed this the first time, and again, it stuck with you?
Okay, so at the very beginning of the movie,
Yes.
when it starts, because the beginning of the movie is actually the end of the story, or supposed to be the end
Correct.
of the Wizard
Yeah.
of Oz's story.
Yeah.
So our movie starts with the hat in the puddle, right? The witch is already dead, and the camera goes over the hat and looks out of a window, and you see someone on a horse riding like a bat out of hell
Yeah.
away from the castle. Who is on the horse? And it's not Fiyero, because when we know, because when the Wicked Witch is killed by Dorothy, Fiyero is already the Scarecrow.
Yeah.
At that point. So it is not Fiyero on the horse. Who is on the horse dashing away from that castle?
And we have theories. We know.
So that is what I saw.
What is
and now
your
is
theory?
what my theory is that it's her son Lear.
Yeah, I just want to get that out there, because
Yeah.
I think you're right, and I want the world to know that my wife is right, and she caught that, because I agree with you wholeheartedly. I think
Her
they're
son
setting it up.
Lear, read the book.
Yeah, son of a witch. I would have to say, my kind of like in seeing it again, the second discovery was I actually liked Fiyero more. The first time I saw it, I did not care for Fiyero. I thought, yeah, it's weird. I know.
Wow.
I just thought it was kind of just flat and
Hot take.
it didn't work. Yeah, it didn't work for me. The second time though, and maybe it's because, and obviously this is going to happen. The first time you're just taking it all in. The second time I was able to kind of, look through into more things, more specifically and give it more attention. And I really paid attention to him a lot. And I was like, oh, okay, I get it. Like he's being aloof or reserved or kind of low energy because that's just who he is. And I realized it was a character choice, just because most Fiyeros, again on the stage version, they tend to be very, over the top, kind of machismo, rather braggadocious, and that wasn't happening with his portrayal. And I was like, what's happening? And so the second time I saw it, I went, oh, okay, yeah, he's just matching the tone of the movie much better. And it really worked. Yeah.
And I think you're right in that so he has the line, life is painless when you're brainless.
Yeah.
Like, if I don't have to think too hard, life is good, obviously then foreshadowing what's to come. But yeah, he really was very chill.
Yeah.
It worked for me though, especially since Elphaba's energy was also so chill.
Yes.
So I felt like it worked, and then, made for a nice
Yeah.
scene in the forest.
And I
later.
agree. Like I said, second time through, and I'm glad I saw that. But that was the biggest kind of revelation for me, was like, oh, okay, yeah, this works. Because tonally, I knew what to expect with Elphaba and Glinda, and I knew where that was going to fall. I didn't expect that from Fiyero. And then I also was kind of disappointed. I thought Nessa Rose, I thought she was amazing. I think she's a great actress. I think they really downplayed her in the movie, at least in this first one, part one. I'm hoping part two, they really give her more, because as we know, she becomes the witch that Dorothy kills. So she's a big deal, you know? And I just thought they kind of downplayed it. They gave her the, kind of stunt at the beginning and stuff at Shiz, but then they really just, I wanted to see her more. I wanted to see the relationship with her and Bakro more. I wanted to see Elphaba's and her relationship a little bit more. So yeah, I was kind of let down by that a bit. So hopefully in part 2, we see more of her, because I thought she was great. And I love I can't believe that it took this long to get finally an actress who really is actually in a wheelchair and to be Nessa Rose.
Yeah,
like,
same.
Fucking, are you kidding me? Like,
I noticed that she was first.
Yeah,
I was like, wow,
that took way too long.
I just assumed that would have already had happened.
You would think. Ali Stoker should have been playing her long ago. So I hope that really does happen, and I hope that it gets to that point.
Yeah, there's no reason that shouldn't.
And then before we go into like kind of just generalizations, I would love to know what everyone's favorite character other than Elphaba and Glinda were for each of you. So let's go with AJ.
Yeah, Fiero.
Okay.
And so it was going back to what you said about the different portrayals, the different kind of general portrayal of them on the stage and whatnot. I guess, just I was just thinking, that's the difference that the mediums allow and or call for. They can, he could be just more subtle, and it comes off because the camera is 4 inches from his face.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But and so I really, because I like Dancing Through Ice, one of my favorite songs of the show. But as much as I love Norbert Leo Butz and he went to DeBerg, I don't. He it's not because of his performance. It's just a fun song and whatnot. But this dude was really him and Glinda's chemistry I thought was really good.
Yes. And Elphaba's chemistry, actually. I thought his chemistry with her was outstanding. Yeah.
Yeah, he's able to match kind of both of their wits.
Yes.
And
again, that's what I picked up on the second time. I was like, oh, I get it. Yeah. What about you, my love?
Okay. In the stage musical, it's definitely Fiero. Love that energy. I even like the braggadocious nature of it.
Yes.
Whatever. I like it.
Yeah.
But in the movie is Madame Morrible. Michelle.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So good.
I agree.
Okay, my favorite even moment. She doesn't even say anything. It's when they're they're in the Emerald City. She's in the wizard's whatever castle, and she turns around and all the monkeys are going crazy behind her and like fleeing, throws one hand up in the air, and it's like in slow motion, and she goes walking out of that room while there's chaos behind her.
Yeah,
it was fabulous.
I agree.
Fabulous. So
I agree.
Definitely I'll choose her for the movie.
And just so everyone knows, my lovely wife and I did not share answers ahead of time.
No.
So my answer is indeed
really?
Madame Morrible. I thought, yes, again, that's a role that, interestingly, as we know, I think I've said this before, I would love to play that role now. I think it'd be great. But her portrayal of it just really, I got to see the range, and I agree with you wholeheartedly. The minute she does that clap and she just, starts telling them like, you are to get her, you see that switch. And up until then, you don't know where she stands at all so brilliantly. Whereas again, in the stage version, I kind of always thought she was flighty. I thought she was kind of like, I didn't necessarily get when she mispronounced a word that was just the language of this show. I thought, oh, she's mispronouncing words because she's kind of just a daffy kind of character.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, I mean, again, just from the stage version, not reading the book or understanding that, and we talked about it. I think the movie version does a lot better job too of making sure they keep picking up on those things like congratulations instead of congratulations, etc. Like there was just a lot more of that, so you started to understand this is just the language of Oz. And yeah, I thought, wow, right from the second she came on the screen to that moment, you think that if you didn't know otherwise, you would think, oh, she's great. She's good. She's a good witch. And she loves everyone, and she loves her students, and she especially loves Elphaba. And then that switch there, you just know, like, she will burn it down if she has to, and I just thought, oof, yeah. That's good.
You think you could get Michelle on the show? I mean, she's on the cover of ARP magazine this month, and it was a really good article. We just follow up with her about that. See if we can get her on
Oh,
here.
we'll try. We'll
Okay.
try.
Good.
I can't wait
What's
to see her in
the-
part 2, though. What's ARP?
What? No, I was gonna say,
Oh.
what's in the middle of the Venn diagram of ARP in this show? Like, what's
I would say probably 1% of our listeners maybe know what ARP is.
Okay, well, Gen
Maybe.
X, we're in ARP now. So
Yeah, we are. And
Yeah.
and my wife loves the magazine
do. It's a good magazine with a good crossword at the end.
and loves the benefits of being an ARP.
I do.
Yeah, definitely. So now let's kind of get into some generalizations and like kind of round robin. And then I'll bring it back. Just overall impressions of the film, give and take, talk amongst ourselves and what have you. Just how did you feel about the film overall? What did it do right? What did it not do, etc. And just anyone can
It
start.
was visually stunning.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I love that
Yeah.
the sets were practical.
Mm-hmm.
I am
Well, I
so
was- yeah, exactly.
glad they're
Yeah,
practical.
took the words out of my mouth.
Yeah.
Yep. That
Yeah.
chiz, that
Oh.
water entry, it's so fucking cool.
I mean,
The
just
fact that
even
they
the little
actually built
things
that
like
shit.
when
Yeah.
they're outside, you see the breeze coming through, and that's real breeze. You know, it's not a fan. It's like, and I'm a nerd. I appreciate those things because then the actors have to deal with it. So the actors weren't expecting every time that there was a breeze. So it just seemed to give it that honesty more. Yeah. And I loved all the other embellishments like the fish and the kind of bugs and all the kind of other stuff that he really layered into the scenes. I thought was just perfect. Like even the talking horse, Fiora's horse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was yours, AJ?
I was gonna say all the like green and pink lens flare
No, yeah.
was fun.
Yeah.
And I didn't get tired of that.
No, I did not either. What do you have anything else to add?
Oh yeah, the casting of the kids.
Oh,
Okay, first of all, that was the most beautiful green baby I've ever seen in my
no,
life.
I know.
And then also, when the girls are young and we see them kind of in their backyard with their nanny.
Yeah.
Oh my God, they were so perfect. Both of them were so perfect
Yeah.
as child actors, and they were so freaking adorable. And then when they brought young Elphaba back at the end, when the real,
Oh,
when
yes.
old Elphaba is kind of falling,
Yes.
and they're both falling together, stunning.
Yeah.
that was such a good choice.
I agree. I love when little Nessa Rose just goes, yeah. Like there's that little voice. It's so cute. Yeah, she was adorable. And I love too the addition of more of the animals, Dulce Bear. And the scene where Dr. Dillerman is talking, to the other animals that are still around. Like I appreciated that. I thought that was great. I also loved the ingenuity and innovative spirit of creating the classroom tools that Dr. Dillerman would use as a goat, like
Yeah.
just the thought that went into all of
pedal.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I really loved all of that. And I love the use of all the gears, really showing the tinkering aspects of the wizard throughout.
Right. He didn't
just-
have any magic. He's
Yeah.
just a tinkerer and a little inventor and potion maker. He's nothing.
Yeah. So AJ, what's your take on? I have a theory, which is that I know this was shot in London, and I know those sets are there and they're real, and they're huge, 9 million tulips. I have to believe, from a financial standpoint, that Universal would never have approved building all of that if a couple things weren't going to happen. One, they're going to shoot way more films using those sets. Like literally, there's going to be not Wicked per se, but probably Son of a Witch is going to be turned into a film. And the only reason I say that too is I read that Steven Schwartz kind of said early on, oh, we're not done with this. There's going to be more. So that leads me to believe that since there's more Gregory Maguire books, there's going to be more filming, because that's a lot of money to sink into sets. Although I know Universal's probably made it. And then I also thought there could be a theme park, or there could be a way that you could visit these sets,
thought about
which
that.
is
Yeah.
also probably going to be an element of that. Because you and I both know in the film industry, if you could do CGI, if you can do some of these new concepts they're doing now, no matter how good or bad it looks, most production companies are not going to approve that nowadays. So the fact that they went so gung-ho with all those details and practicality leads me to believe there's more, down the pipe.
I can see a
Yeah.
tram going down that little
Oh,
Munchkin land
that'd
with
be
all
cool.
kinds of people on it taking pictures.
I mean,
So,
I'd fucking go in a heartbeat.
yeah.
If I could just
Like
see
the
the sets.
back lot.
Right,
Yes.
right.
The
right.
yeah.
Yeah.
tour. Yeah, no, that's I thought the same thing. Just that they are priming this
Have to.
for a Universal Studios extension.
Have to.
Like this is because and I mean they're getting two sets of rev. I mean they split it up, so they are who knows if how much money they'd made either way, but they're gonna make a shitload more money next year.
Fuck, I know.
So
I mean, just think about it. There's going to be the sing along version. So it's not even in theaters a month, and they're doing the sing along. Then you got part two. You got the albums, the cast albums, all the merchandise.
oh
Um,
yeah.
all the tie-ins, the licensing tie-ins have just. I mean, Ben Platt should be so grateful to Wicked because I mean I know he was very successful even or Ben Platt, Mark Platt,
Mark
the
Platt,
producer.
yeah.
Yeah,
What are we talking
yeah.
about?
Sorry,
But
Mark Platt,
then
the
by
producer.
extension,
Yeah, so exactly. I mean, I know he was already doing well because he obviously produced the stage version, but my God, like him, Schwartz, Winnie Holzman, is that who wrote the book? I think to the actual, musical, and I think contributed to the screenplay here. All of the like all of those originators, Gregory Maguire, like, can you
Make a
imagine
rich.
how much money they have made off
Oh
of
my
fucking
God, yeah.
Wicked? Like, oh my God. It's no wonder they're like, yeah, we're going to do more. Like, just keep milking that money train.
and I mean the New York production's never slowed down,
No.
but it's definitely not anymore. It's really not
Oh,
going to
fuck no.
now.
No.
I'll take but I'd take more from Steven Schwartz.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
ready.
I am ready.
Yeah, give me a taste. If it ends up like Love Never Dies, then let's forget about it and move on, and we'll just let the original run.
I still need Steven to get his Tony, too.
He doesn't have one.
I don't think so. I mean, he definitely didn't win for Wicked, and he should have because he was up against Avenue Q that year. And I'm sorry, I love Avenue Q, but yeah, Wicked should
He
have
went
taken it.
for Baker's Wife. Is that what it was?
Maybe. I should know that.
I don't know.
I'll
Or
look it up
God's
and then I'll amend it
Spell.
either at the beginning or end of this. So yeah, I just thought overall, I think, just in terms of adapting this musical to the stage, and I won't get too much into that because I know we're going to hit that at the end, but I thought success there, check, check, check. Casting, check, check, check. You did it. Like, way to go. And then the practicality of it, those practical sets. I still don't understand the 9 million tulips. That's a little excessive for me, but good on them for doing that. And I just thought, yeah, he captured the flavor of, the musical. The only thing that drove me crazy was the under tempo rhythms. Everything was so dramatically slowed down.
Yeah,
Everything,
I know.
even Popular, and some of the others that it was just like, I know why you're doing this. You're milking it to fill 2.5 hours, but oi.
I'm Not That Girl. Yeah,
Oh.
it was. It's like, all right, this is a good song, but
Even Wizard and
really
I.
stretching it.
Wizard and
Yeah,
I was
no.
like really kind of, yeah, I wanted to. As a matter of fact, the professor one night was listening, she puts on the Amazon and Alexa and listens to music as she's working in the kitchen, what have you. And you had on the movie recording, right?
I did, yeah.
Yeah. And I went, oh, what version is this? Because I could just feel it was really, really slow. But I hadn't heard the the movie album yet. And so it sounded like it was Kristen singing, but it was very slow. So I went, what version is this?
It was the movie version. But it's funny because when you're watching the movie, it doesn't feel quite
Yeah.
as slow. But when you listen to the music out of context, you can definitely feel the slowness of it.
Yeah.
I get why they had to do it. It
Oh,
makes
yeah.
sense. And the songs are still fabulous, don't get me wrong.
Yeah. Are you excited to see part 2, AJ? Like, are you dying?
Oh shit, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, there's so much good music in that half of it. So,
Yeah.
I mean, they've already shown that they can do the visuals really well.
Right.
So now with all we get all the spectacle. This was, all the exposition, which all the fun big dance numbers.
Right.
Now it's time for the meat of it.
Yeah. So speaking of part 2, we'll start with the professor. What are you looking most forward to in part 2?
I'm most looking forward to hopefully seeing more of the transformations of both Bach and Fierro.
Yeah.
So I mean, in the musical they hit on it, but we have time in the movie, so let's hit
Yeah,
on it. So I'd love to see a little
absolutely.
bit more there. I'm excited about that, and then I'm also excited for the song "Because I Knew You." I love that song.
I agree.
So I'm really excited to see the two of them perform that. I'm sure it's going to be freaking fabulous.
Because I knew you mean change for good. For
Oh yeah,
good.
yeah.
Yeah.
For good.
That's what.
Yeah.
For good.
That's what I'm
That's
looking
what,
most
you know.
forward to. Yeah. I
Oh, love it.
seeing, I will say the thing that I found the most endearing, and this isn't even with the movie, it's been more with the press junket and the interviews. It's very clear that Ariana and Cynthia have a deep, profound love and respect for each other. Like profound. It's so beautiful to see. It's probably been the most intriguing thing for me to see when it comes to all the different interviews and stuff that they've been rolling. And so I can only imagine what the emotions of For Good are going to be. I guarantee that's going to just be so heavy and so that's going to be a good one. I can't wait for that.
And before we finish, because the question that was asked was besides Elphaba and Glinda, so Ariana Grande was so much better than I ever expected, and just so past the kind of, so Michael Caine's got this quote about how he knows he did a good job in a role. Somebody's talking about it, like, oh, I liked Alfred in The Dark Knight,
Right.
and not, oh, I like Michael Caine as Alfred.
Yeah.
And so I mean, within not long, I was watching the movie and I was like, oh, Glinda here. And I caught myself thinking, I was like, oh man,
Yeah.
this is a really good sign. She's already disappeared like into this role.
Agreed.
And so it just blew me away.
Agreed. I wholeheartedly agree. Yeah. And I mean, for part 2, what about you for part 2? Like, what are you looking most forward to? AJ.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I was going to say, and actually that leads me to, so her, I'm Not That Girl.
Oh yeah.
And then, yeah, the little, like, Nessa Rose has a reprise in there that's not in the recording. And so, yeah, just that stuff. Those slower, juicy numbers.
Yeah.
Or I'm Not That Girl, As Long As You're Mine. Yeah.
And I think this moment is going to be really good. Now that I enjoy Fierro, like, I'm excited to see him and Cynthia do,
I think it'll be pretty hot.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I agree. Like, I can
It's gonna
totally
get a PG-13.
I
Give
can
us
totally
a R. Let's
buy
see.
that they're shagging.
Well, I hope just more moms bring their 4 and 5-year-olds to see the movie, because this really is a family film. Good Lord.
Yes.
Good Lord.
Oh gosh. Before we get to the last two things here, I feel I need to share a story from the first time the professor and I went to go see it.
This was my gosh.
We're so excited. Like, it's the day before Thanksgiving, was it not? I think
It was the Wednesday before Thanksgiving.
Yes. So we have our tickets for, I think, a month
easily,
or if not longer, and nothing on there other than, we know where we're seating, and it's going to be a great theater, right? And so we show up. Oh, the anticipation, everything. It was such a great day. We get there.
There's trinkets all over our seat.
Which was fun.
Fun stuff. We had the Elphaba sunglasses, the green things. We had a little bubble wand.
Yeah.
We had a bottle of pink glitter. An Elphaba broom pen.
Yeah.
I took to school.
And I was like, oh, we picked the right theater. This is great. We got shit.
Yeah.
Then, and I want my wife to tell you.
Okay. Oh my God. So then we're watching this, and the servers are dressed in costume, and there's some people in the theater also dressed in costume, and like, I'm not gonna say we also went dressed in theme. Like, we were not dressed in costume. We dressed by color.
Vibes.
I went as the vibes. I went with the vibe of Glinda, so that
Vibe
she
of
could go as
Elphaba.
Elphaba.
Yeah.
But we get there, and these workers come out, and they're like, "Welcome to the Wizard of Oz viewing party." And everybody
Wicked,
claps.
Wicked.
Oh, sorry, the Wicked viewing party, and we all clap. We're like, "Oh, cool!" And they start talking about the trinkets on the seats and whatever. And then they're like, "So tonight you can sing and dance and say the lines with the movie." Landyn and I looked at each other with the expression of hell no on our faces. I don't even think I spoke to Landyn. I pop up out of the seat. I immediately am in the lobby in front of the ticket desk going, and can I get my money back? This is not how I want my first viewing
Yeah.
of Wicked to go down, with a bunch of freaking amateurs singing. No, I didn't pay. I'm not paying for that.
my
I'm not
God.
paying to hear other people
Yeah.
sing. I want
So
to hear
that's-
Cynthia Erivo.
That's what we heard. Like, we are in our seats.
Yes. We panic. So then they're like, we can refund you. We can give you your money back for another show. Landon over here is like, I need to see it tonight. And it was being, you know how Landon loves change. And
Well, yeah, I
so then-
waited long enough. I was like, no, you're ruining my experience by allowing these amateurs to sing.
Right.
That was never advertised.
But let me tell you what, Landon, they're not going to suddenly put on another showing of Wicked because
No,
we're
you
just
need to-
satisfied.
But we were
We need to
there.
see
So-
tonight.
Do they know who I
We
am?
decide to go back in there
Oh,
and hope
God.
for the best. And thank God we did, because
Oh,
it was a
thank
great
God.
viewing. Nobody got up and danced,
No.
because I was gonna go to jail if that happened. But nobody got up and danced, and only a couple little kids sang a little part, and they were so soft it didn't matter.
Yeah.
So the rest of the viewing was great, but there were
Thank God.
moments of panic. We were so angry
Oh,
at
yeah.
the ticket line.
Oh.
I thought Landon and I might be in trouble getting a divorce because
real.
of the way we were both just over the top.
I was just
it was
like,
classic.
Are you kidding? Like, I've
was
been waiting
classic.
months for this, and you're going to spring that on me? Like, that they get to sing? Fuck that.
How
no,
quickly
no,
we can
no.
revert into our terrible selves.
Oh, yeah, no.
Anyway, 'cause that was our first experience.
I was not into that. And then I have to admit, the second time, what was, I think, the best about that one was we went, it was a surprise for my wife on her birthday. She didn't know. It was like a couple days before her birthday. And I had invited two of her very good friends, one husband and wife team, and one Amy was someone that she had grown up with her life. And so she was excited to go. They were both excited to go. And it was really cool to see the movie through their eyes, because they didn't really know anything about it. They're not really theater people. They only knew Popular. That's it. They had known that song. They knew that Ariana was in it, and that was about it. And so afterwards, it was really cool to be like, what'd you think? And to see that excitement. That was very, very cool.
and they both were like, I think we're going to look at the book.
Yeah.
They wanted to learn more. So that was like, yeah, cool.
Well,
we
and because
we may have converted a couple of people.
Because like, I know you know this, AJ, but for the audience, like, my wife is obsessed with Wicked, like obsessed. She's been in a very amateur production.
Yes. So a friend of mine was turning 30, and I said, what do you want for your birthday? And what he wanted was to be in a performance of Wicked. So me, being a good friend, I downloaded a version of the script I found online, and I edited it down. I cast the show amongst our friends, some of who've been in plays, some who have never been in a play. We cast the whole thing. I rehearsed it and choreographed the entire thing in my living room. And then for his 30th birthday, we all put on our costumes that we just brought and made up to get on our own, whatever. And we performed Act 1 and Act 2 with all of the songs.
Yes. And costumes.
And costumes and costume changes and most of the dialogue.
And there was an audience.
Yeah, we had for an audience of about
You did
50
not charge money.
She did not
for
charge-
it.
I was
You
gonna
did
say, an
not
an audience
charge
of
money
50 of our
for it.
friends, and we were in someone had like one of those mansions,
Yeah,
you
it
know,
was
in the nice
huge.
neighborhood, and they had this third floor, which was a ballroom, and that's where we did it, and
Yeah.
it was so much fun. So have I been in Wicked? Yes, I have. I played Glinda.
Yeah.
Was it legal? Absolutely not.
So Stephen and company, don't come after us, because there was no money.
No, it was a
This
birthday
very-
gift. It was a one night
Yeah.
only kind of situation.
But it was fun. I've watched the video. It was quite entertaining. It would have been a fun night to see. But like, out of all the musicals that my wife and I have, discussed, and when we go back and forth, Wicked has been the constant. This is number one for her. So I will say, for me, again, personally, watching her love this and enjoy this and see this whole thing has been very beautiful. And I've loved living through it with her, because while it was definitely in my like top 10, it wasn't number one for me. And I dare say it's pretty much number one for you, right, babe?
I'm gonna put it up there with Superstar.
Yeah.
Sorry, I want to put it up there with Jesus Christ Superstar,
Yeah.
which will always hold a place in my heart, mostly because of my dad. But yeah, those two are probably they're kind of the shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. I agree. And so then let's to wrap this up.
And Dreamgirls. Sorry.
Oh, yes.
They're my trifecta.
Yeah. Oh,
Dreamgirls
God,
concert version from 2001, please.
And we have great stories.
And yes,
about
I have
Dreamgirls,
seen
too.
Jennifer Holliday do it live.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, and she was fierce as well.
You've seen several.
I took an overnight trip
Yeah.
to Atlanta. I was 3 months pregnant, jumped in the car with two of our friends. We drove all night to Atlanta to see Jennifer Holliday star in Dreamgirls. I think it was 2000. No, I was pregnant. So it was 2002, summer of 2002. And then after the performance, we literally just got back in the car and drove home. And we just took turns sleeping. It was 24 hours round trip.
Oh my
Worth
God.
it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
Yep. Oh, I definitely do that.
And then our daughter came bounding out dancing to Dreamgirls music.
She did not.
No,
she
I'm
came out
kidding.
not liking musicals.
At all.
Like, who even is this?
So that segues really nicely because I was say she absolutely did not enjoy being in Joseph, which is what John Chu's doing next.
No way. Wait, are you
Yes.
serious? You're
I'm
dropping
dead
some
serious.
new. He's
No,
directing
I mean,
a movie version of Joseph.
Yeah, it's for Amazon.
Starring Donny Osmond.
Oh fuck!
No.
No,
Hopefully,
No.
If anything, the only thing I could see Donnie doing, and I'd be okay with, is Jacob.
Yeah, he'd be great as
He could be good Jacob.
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
would approve that casting.
Yeah, Potiphar. That'd be fun.
No.
No, he could be fun with that. He could be fun.
that's what I was thinking was Potiphar.
Mm-hmm.
I
But,
think he'd be fun, Jacob.
but
He'd
yeah,
be good
Jacob, I think is another.
Speaking of, since we're talking about our
Good
daughter, I
place to
just
put 'em.
have to, and Wicked, this is a good story too. So, I was so excited. Remember, AJ, when I started doing reviews at the Fox Theater and stuff, and so I got to see the shows. So Wicked was one of the shows, and I so badly wanted to take our daughter. I was like, I want to experience this with her. It's a great show. I know she'll love it. She knows Wizard of Oz. This will be great. We put her in a dress. I didn't. My wife
I did.
did.
Okay, so
Mom
first
did.
of all, that was my big mistake.
Yes.
She's neurodivergent. She had serious
Did not want to be in a dress,
issues
ever.
with the way, sensory issues.
Yeah.
And while that dress had been fine on other occasions, if you have a child with sensory issues, the next day that dress could be an abomination. So that's what happened.
Yeah. So we arrive, and the whole time I'm like, "Are you excited? Like you get to." And the first thing I do, knowing her, and this was a smart move for about 5 minutes, I bought her some merch. I bought her the Wicked, witch hat that they had. And so she's playing with that. She's sitting with that. Show starts right away. Too loud, too loud. And she's like, how old was she?
10.
10. So too loud, too loud. And then like 15 minutes in, I look over. A scowl, her arms crossed in front of her chest, looking at the stage like she'd rather be anywhere else but there with me.
Yeah.
And I keep pointing out to the other kids going, well, look, they're enjoying it. And she's like, yeah, fuck it. And I don't know why.
Yeah, no, that
and
wasn't going to fly.
so sure enough, at intermission, we left. I called my wife and I said, Emma really wants to come home. What should I do? And she's like, well, if that's what she wants, you can either go through Act 2 and put up with that, or you can just come home. So we left. Yeah. And then I found out, this is funny too. I found out, thank God, because I was supposed to do an interview, that at intermission, the Elphaba switched, which evidently is a common occurrence.
What?
That after an Elphaba does Defying Gravity, if,
They're shot.
Yeah, vocal cords, long run,
What
whatever.
do they think? Everybody who's green looks the same?
Yeah.
Well, I think, and we may get to this
Where's
later
the
in this
ACLU?
episode. I believe, and I remember reading at the time that if you were the Elphaba understudy and you were just the understudy or standby, you were in the green, ready
Oh,
to
yeah,
go.
you had to be.
Yeah, because obviously they couldn't put that on
Oh man.
really fast. So and
Fucking
like I
brutal.
said, I had somehow found out about that or heard about that. So obviously I was able to get it into my review before it was submitted because I was like, well, fuck, I missed out on that, So let's wrap up with final kind of question. Just to what extent the stage to screen adaptation was, how it worked overall. And again, we'll start with the lovely
So
professor.
I think it was really successful. And I think one of the ways we can measure it, not right now, but probably soon, is I think we're going to see a boom in interest in the original material, both the Baum version of the stories and then also the Maguire version. So I just think we're going to see a big boom in interest there. And I think that's one way to measure that, this is truly successful. So
Agreed.
financially successful, obviously.
Yeah.
That's an easy measurement. But I think seeing how people engage with it after, that speaks volumes.
Yeah, that's going to be huge. Yeah. Well, AJ, what do you got on that? Do you just overall success.
I mean that it's been an enormous success. It was an enormous
Yeah.
success. And yeah, no, I mean they really didn't cheap out on, you know, the kind of production design and whatnot. And so that's gonna allow them to really kind of use that well going
Yeah.
forward and whatnot. Just they really kind of built Oz well. And yeah, no, I'm down. I'm along for the ride now. Let's
Yeah.
go.
Oh yeah. Would you want to see more? Like, knowing
Yeah.
there are other books, would you want to see those adaptations or?
So I don't know what the books are. What like I mean, I know of them. I don't know if I would want adaptations of those, or I'm curious what like a new Wizard of Oz would look like.
Oh no,
So,
no! You
No,
can't
no,
touch
no.
that.
no,
No,
well,
no.
at least on to go back to stage.
Oh well, yeah, I
Okay.
guess.
So
I'd be fine
I
with
don't, but I guess I can just see the success of this. If
Oh,
it's not, I mean, there's no reason it couldn't be both.
Yeah,
They've already got the material and whatnot. But if
Absolutely.
something that Steven Schwartz, if he can't come up, which I mean, he can, he can. So, but how fast and whatnot they can develop a show like that, whatever. I feel
Yeah.
like they could restage
absolutely.
Wizard of Oz soon, whatever. Just because of the success of this, they can ride that,
Yeah.
You know,
I was going to say
wave.
they should not attempt a new Wizard of Oz movie until all of Gen X has passed away.
For real.
Because if they do it before
Yeah.
that may cause a premature death for all
Yes.
of us. So just don't.
Yeah.
I don't think the millennials have as much of a connection to it as Gen
Yeah.
X did. But don't do it
Don't.
while we're living.
Don't,
Just don't
please.
do it. Don't.
But I agree with exactly what the professor said, which is that we already know that Hollywood and even Broadway loves origin stories right now. And so I see that they're probably going to, in some way, whether it's John Chu or just one of the streaming services, they'll do an origin story of the wizard, I'm sure. Like we get to see him as a teen and see him,
Yeah.
from Nebraska going into Oz. Like
That could
I'm
be
sure
interesting.
that's going to be something somewhere. And then she reminded me that several years ago there was a James Franco movie where he played the wizard, and
Oz the Great and Powerful.
exactly. And then there was a Zoe Deschanel, Alan Cumming kind of Wizard of Oz show that was on Sci-Fi. So basically, I think she hit it dead on. I think you're going to see a lot more Wizard of Oz related things in the mainstream. You're going to see more books, probably more children's books, more movies. I think that's what's going to set this up. And that's how you're going to be able to tell how successful this was. I think it's already been a huge success. I don't think it's going anywhere away.
Yeah, the Wicked verse
is huge.
I mean, they were clearly trying to capitalize
Yes.
on the Wizard of Oz,
Yes.
IP
Absolutely.
with those other attempts, but this one,
Yeah.
was
Without a
was a
doubt.
success. And so now they've got what can they do with it, and what can they do well with it.
Well, and especially if you're Universal and you're one of the largest and you look and you go, okay, Disney has Star Wars and Marvel and whatever, and DC is happening over there. Of course you're going to look at a piece like this and be like, oh my God, the number of stories we can do just in this world alone, Oz, it's going to become its own kind of multiverse, basically, I think. It makes sense. My fear is that obviously when these things happen, they tend to do it over and too much, and then everyone's going to get tired of it. But
Diluted. Yep.
yeah, for now, I think it's a huge success. I'm a little pissed that we have to wait a year for part 2. I'm very anxious, and it's already done. So it's like, come on, put it
but
out.
we get the sing along in December and Christmas.
I know.
So speaking of that, I emailed a movie theater asking if it was just a Christmas thing, and they said right now it is just a Christmas thing.
Oh wow.
And so, but they to keep an eye out,
Yeah.
and it could be updated. So not sure if that'll work.
Well, I'm
if
sure
if
too,
that's the day.
as they get closer to the part 2 release, you're going to get part 1 is going to be re-released in theaters, just to kind of
That's a good
dangle that
point,
carrot
yeah.
and get people in there. Because I was thinking about that. The PR machine for this movie alone has been huge, and I was like, wait, does this cast now have to do this all over again for part 2?
In a year?
Like,
Yep.
Exactly. And yeah, basically get like 4 or 5 months off, and then it's right back to the red carpets in the final. So,
Well, I was gonna say, yeah, that then the Oscar season's rolling out, and this is definitely going to be nominated.
You think?
for things?
you
For
think?
things, yeah. Oh, like John Chu's definitely getting a direction nomination.
Wow.
Like design wise, costumes, they're going to be nominated for that.
What were the
There's
nominations
definitely things.
that just came? I'm sorry. What
Oh,
were the
Golden
nominations that
Globes.
just came out? And he didn't get it.
Yeah. That's why I just
Really?
Yeah, I don't see this
The Hollywood Foreign Press.
Yeah.
So-
I don't see this being a huge award thing. I do think possibly visual, maybe
Costumes,
production
maybe.
design, costumes, but yeah, I don't see this being kind of one of those, and I don't think it needs to be, you know. The
I don't
Wizard of
think it
Oz
needs to be.
didn't
Yeah,
win
I just
a lot of awards, you know. It was kind of
Yeah.
panned when it first came out, so
What?
No, I
Wicked?
Wizard of Oz.
Oh, I think Wicked might get nominated for Best Picture.
Yes, I could see
I
that.
I would not be surprised. I just will not be surprised if this gets if it's heavily nominated. But yeah, some of these things I feel like are certainties.
And then I want to close with this question, AJ, just from a nerd standpoint. Do you think that John Chu is not locked on part 2 because he's just kind of waiting to see what the response was to this one, to see like, oh, okay, maybe I should give them a little bit more here, or maybe I should do this. Like, what do you think? Like, I often think about this in this situation, knowing it's all filmed, it's already done, but now he gets to edit it and he gets a year. He kind of gets to cheat a little bit and say, oh, what's the feedback? Not necessarily from critics, but audiences. What's the feedback on part 1? And maybe he's re-looking at Act 2 before it locks, just to be like, you know, maybe I should
like
tweak
what's
this
on-
a bit, or
What's
Yeah.
on the cutting room versus
Exactly,
like the final.
exactly.
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh no, absolutely.
Which you don't often
Yeah.
get as a director. You don't often get to kind of put out something knowing that the rest is done, that
No,
you can
very-
then go back, you know?
Very, very few opportunities for that.
Yeah.
No, I would be shocked if they didn't.
Yeah,
Whatnot.
I
It'd
agree.
be dumb if they didn't. Look at it and
Right.
see if they can edit it,
Yeah.
or kind of tweak it just a little bit for what worked in the first, what didn't. But I think just by nature of the the kind of what
Setup
Act
it
2 is
Yeah.
at what Act 2 is that it's going to be just tonally very different anyway.
I know. And that's when I'm most fascinated to see. You don't
Yeah,
have
It's
these
going to be
big dancing through life numbers and defying gravity. You have more of the emotion now.
it's more.
Yeah.
The numbers are the more intimate ones, with the exception it starts off with thank goodness whatnot.
Yes.
But that's really it.
Well, I'm so excited we did this, and I'm so excited that we finally get to talk about Wicked, because I knew you saw it a couple of weeks ago. We saw
Oh my
it.
God, yeah.
So, and we held out. We didn't talk about it purposely. So it's finally good to be able to be like, oh, thank you to the professor for joining us. It was so great to have you.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, I'm so excited that you were here. And
And telling them to invite and saying no. I'm good.
are you? No. We tried to even get her on this early on. So no, and I'm
My
sure.
my mom is not a fan of me being on this. She thinks the title is going to get me fired. She's so cute.
My grandma one time I had a Spring Awakening shirt when it was here in town, and
Yeah.
it said "You're fucked" on the back.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Someone's gonna bop you." And-
Bop you.
Well, we're just gonna
Yeah.
have to tell Mom that it was a safe episode because it was all Wicked, which this episode is. It's all Wicked. And I thank you both. There's no two people I'd rather talk about this amazing movie and this amazing piece than you two. So thank you both. I thought it
thank
was
you.
a lively, spirited conversation, and that's a wrap on our Wicked discussion, our Wicked roundtable. All right. Stay
Boom.
tuned. We got some more surprises.
Wicked awesome. Wicked, get a ticket to see this wicked.
All right. Wasn't that a lot of fun? That was fun. I truly loved it. And I loved having the professor there. Like, that was huge. I'm sure you could hear it in my voice. It was so cool to be able to sit down and have her participate with AJ and I. It was amazing. And I hope we get more opportunities to do that. So now we're going to go to the second part of this episode, which is just a brief interview. This interview is about 10 minutes long, and it's taken from a longer interview, which will actually be in next week's episode, episode number 9. The full interview will be in that episode. I can tell you that it's with an actress who has played Elphaba. She's kind of one of the primary Elphabas. She's someone that normally, when names are being dropped about Elphaba and the various Elphabas that have, kind of made the role their own and have become iconic, she's one of them, without a doubt. And I had the good fortune and the honor and the privilege to work with this actress on an original kind of world premiere musical called Unbeatable. I met some phenomenal artists and became great friends with them. And one of those friends I'm about to interview right now. I'll tell you afterwards in case you don't recognize the voice or don't know who it is yet. And then again, this person is featured in a full-length interview next week in which we talk more about her career, early life, family life. It's a great interview, but even just this little section is really cool. And it's specifically just about Wicked. So that's why we included it in this episode. So without any further ado, enjoy our special guest number 2. And I know you've kind of talked ad nauseum about Wicked, but I also know that you would do that till the cows come home. I am more interested, though, in how is it reliving this entire experience through Grace now, like through her eyes, having her, and just all the fervor that's around it. Like,
it is.
How does that feel?
It's a lot of fervor.
Yeah.
I'm literally like, it's great. I'm so happy.
Right.
But I'm like, I'm so sick of Wicked right now.
I bet. No, I bet.
Oh, so it was great. So like, back in October, the original cast was invited to come see, advanced screening. And I honestly think I blacked out for 2.5 hours. Like I still have not gone back to see it again, and I have to, but like
Yes, you do.
the processing of something so well.
Yeah.
In a different medium, you know what I'm saying? Was just like my brain couldn't, and it wasn't about any performances. I thought the performances were astounding. I thought the vocals were great. I loved it. But for me, it was like, I'm such a image-based person that when you're standing singing Defying Gravity or The Wizard and I, like like, what are you seeing? I'm having to imagine that I'm not just looking out at an audience, right?
Right.
So like, to have that not quite line up with what now I was seeing in a visual representation.
Yeah.
It wasn't good or bad. It was just, I needed to process.
Right.
So it's amazing. And listen, I mean, I met Ariana Grande, my God, I don't even know, that 2008. I mean, it's been a long time.
Yeah.
And she was so wonderful. Like, she was so I was a bit of a doubter going in, I will admit, but like,
me too.
I think she should win all the awards. I mean, it was so spectacular.
Agreed.
And Cynthia Erivo gave my favorite performance on a Broadway show ever in The Color Purple. So like, she can be wrong. Like, I felt, and then I got to have a really lovely conversation with John Chu. The after party, and what was so great about it was that, his respect for the piece. Like, he saw the tryout in San Francisco.
Yeah.
And which I was not part of. I joined original cast Broadway, but to hear someone who had such respect for the piece, like, it felt great. I mean, listen, I don't claim any ownership over anything in the movie. I was not chosen to be part of the ensemble singing, which is
Oh,
no, it's okay. They chose only three people from the original Broadway cast, all men. So
yeah. Well,
it is what it is. But like my prized possession, right, is my platinum Decca CD with my
hell
name
yeah.
that they sent, you know. So like I think I understand what a legacy this is to have been
Yeah.
part of the original cast, to have my solo lines on the album. Um, and you know, like the other night at karaoke, what was the last song my child sang of the evening with her new friend?
Defying gravity.
100%. And she knew every line. They even did Loathing, and she knew every, or What Is This Feeling, is the name of the song.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I was like, Grace, how do you know that? And she's like, I just do, mommy. I was like, okay.
So
But
how, like, when it comes to Grace, like, I mean, her friends have to know about Wicked, and like, she gets to be able to tell her friends, my mom was Elphaba on Broadway and in Chicago. Like, what is she going through? Is she now a rock star in her own right with her friends,
so
or?
funny because I think that to her, well, right now on we have two Christmas trees because
Yeah,
we do. But the tree in front of me is hers that she gets to decorate.
yeah.
Glinda's on the top. Elphaba's further down. So
Oh,
she's Glinda. She's Glinda. But she, you know, listen, she saw her. This is a fun little story. So
yeah,
my first Broadway show I ever saw was right before I moved to New York, right before I graduated from college. And my mom was like, I have to take you to New York. You're planning to move there and you've never been there. What if you hate
right.
it? Right. And
Yeah,
here I am 25 years later, where you're still like, you have to drag me out kicking and screaming.
yeah.
We saw Titanic. That was the first Broadway show I saw, and she saw because she'd never been either, at the
Wow.
London Theater.
Yeah.
And the first show that my child saw was Charlie and the Chocolate Factory with me on stage at the Lumpfontein Theater. I
Oh
mean,
my
that is,
God.
yeah,
Ah,
it's crazy, you know? So for her though, and we have this conversation a lot, for her, it's just very normal.
yeah, yeah.
For her, she's like, you know, I mean, her teacher like is a huge Wicked fan right now, which is really sweet, but it's just normal. It's just normal. Like she
Yeah.
once told, I remember she was like 3, 4, maybe 4 or 5. And I was paying for gas at a gas station. She was like, excuse me, my mom was Elphaba. Like, just like this gas attendant was like, I don't care, pay and get out. But she, you know, she has this year alone sung at Lincoln Center twice. She got cast as Grace in Annie at her
Yeah.
school. And she's a character in an upcoming animated series. She's recorded 26 episodes as
Wow.
this character. So, like, for her, it's just like it sounds crazy, but like
No, I get it.
that's the dynamic of New York City.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
And it's
So,
old hat. Yeah. Mom
yeah,
did it. Now I'm doing it.
but I read a great book as a young parent that was oh god, I'm not gonna remember the exact name of it, but like how to raise an empathetic child.
Oh yeah.
Because to me that's so important, especially in the world that we live in. And you know, she, while it's like, oh, I have to go home and record this voiceover today, which is a little like snotty, she also is like, her teachers always say she's such a vocal advocate for
Oh,
everyone in the classroom. And you know, so trying to
yeah.
keep her, you know, her feet on the ground. But
Sounds
yeah,
like you're doing it. Yeah.
but I think, yeah, I mean, yeah, it's good. It's kind of crazy.
So I kn- this could be a ridiculous question, but like, how do you even digest the fact that you were a part of something that is currently bigger than anything, but
But
like, as far as just the overall success of even the Broadway musical is now, getting up there in years with, almost Phantom of the Opera and Les Mis, and like, you're a part of that now. And like, how do you process that, or how do you digest it? What do you feel,
when I
especially
figure
seeing
it out,
all of
I'll let
this?
you know. When I figure
Yeah,
it out, I'll
okay.
let you
I
know. No,
figured.
it's honestly, I was, you know, I was 25, 26
Yeah.
when I booked that. And oh yeah, speaking of like my mom keeping it real, little throwback here. She saw Wicked in previews and she was like, are you sure you can really play that role? I was
Oh
like,
my gosh.
but like, no. But like, because she was worried. Listen, my grandfather was like, I will pay for my Italian grandfather was like, I will pay for every penny of college if you don't go for musical theater. And
wow.
and I was like, no, I have to. And then he died and left me enough to pay for it anyway. But like, like that was nice. But they're just, they're realists, I guess. But
yeah.
Process that. I don't, honestly, it's almost half of my life.
Yeah.
So, and listen, it has long outlived. I was in the show for 4 years. It's
right.
obviously long outlived me, but I think something that's really great is that the producers are very cognizant of our contribution. I mean, I invited to the 10-year, I sang on the 15th. We got invited to a great party for the 20th, the opening of the movie. Like it, it's really lovely. And we actually, if I'm feeling all right, because I do feel a little under the weather today, there's the original Broadway cast has a little Christmas party tonight.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Wicked has opened so many doors for me, so many doors, and I am forever grateful for it. It was, I'm not going to lie, and we probably talked about those years ago in St. Louis, but like there were some traumatic moments. I'm not going to lie. It was the hardest thing I'd ever done.
Piss off, not sorry, don't cry. The fucking machine is out of order. So fuck yourself and save a quarter.
Well, that's it. That is a wrap on the Wicked wrap up. It was a fun episode. And in case you didn't know who that interview was with, it's Christy Cates. I'm so grateful and honored that she took the time to chat with me, and that full interview will be in next week's episode. So if you liked this episode, which we hope you did, like, follow, subscribe, share it, and please write to us and tell us what you liked about Wicked and what your family loves and just your favorite scenes, songs, all that. Let's continue this conversation as we go through this period where Wicked Part 1 kind of fades into the sunset a little bit, which won't happen immediately, and then we start getting ready for Wicked Part 2. Can't wait. And until then, remember to always look out for each other, take care of yourself, and always lead with love. Bye-bye. See you next week.
Piss off, not sorry, don't cry.
No Fucks Left has been a presentation of Transplendent Media. The host and creator of No Fucks Left is Landyn Shaw. The producer is AJ Lubert. Our logo and graphic design has been done by Wally Spence. If you'd like to be a part of No Fucks Left in the future, please visit our website at nofucksleftpod.com. nofucksleftpod.com. Thank you so much.